Hey everybody, CW here, Card Wolf, because I am always on the hunt for great cards. Today is Anything Can Happen Day. We do that every Thursday, and you never know what I'm going to get into. Today it is some mail. This is just came in fact, within the last 24 hours. This arrived at the Card Wolf Citadel. It is a small collection of cards that I picked up on the Goodwill online auction site. Goodwill has their own auction site. And I've bought from them before. There are always a lot of baseball cards, sports cards, things like that on their auctions. And I haven't bought from them for a little while because it seems like everybody has kind of found out about them. Their prices on the auctions are just nuts these days. I mean, way over what any rational person should be spending on the card auctions they have. But I got what I hope is a nice deal on this. I think the reason I was able to get this one and it didn't go, crazy high is because the Goodwill that was selling this, it's all Goodwills all across the country. They do their own pricing. They do their own, photos, the whole deal. It's each Goodwill kind of doing their own thing all through this one Goodwill site. And the Goodwill that sold this in Oregon did not do much in terms of the listing. There were like 2 pictures, and you got really no sense of what was in here. I know that there are some early 70s Kellogg cereal cards in here. That was really all they showed. They had this box, and then they had the Kellogg cereal cards, and you could kind of see that the other cards in the box is full, and you could see that the other cards in the box weren't Kellogg's cards, but you couldn't really tell what they were. And so I kind of zoomed in and manipulated the photo a little bit so I could see better, and it looked like they were 1971 Topps Baseball, which is a really great set. Tons of Hall of Famers in there, some good rookies, and also really a tough set to find in good condition because of the black borders. And so other than the Kellogg cereal cards, which they laid out, and one of them is a Dick Allen, which is what caught my attention about the lot to begin with. It's a Dick Allen Kellogg's card that I don't have, so I know that, at least those are in there, though many of the Kellogg's cards look like they had cracks in them and weren't in particularly good shape, but there were Hall of Famers there. But the cards I'm really interested in and the ones that I'm most curious about are the ones, not sure how I'll open this, I guess I'll try down this seam here. Cards I'm most interested to see are the what I hope are 1971 cards. Of course, I only saw the edges of, maybe 5 or 10 cards. They look like 71s, and the rest could be 1990 Topps for all I know. I hope that's not the case, but we're going to find out together exactly what's in here. Of course, with 1971, there are a lot of Hall of Famers and some rookies, and also the possibility of high number cards, which I've talked about 1971 high numbers on the channel before. It's not just high numbers, it's also, all right, here we go. Not just high numbers, it's also short print high numbers, which were cards that were printed once per printing sheet, as opposed to some of the other high numbers, which were printed twice, and so those short print high numbers command a real premium. They're very hard to find, so it's unlikely any of those will be in here, but we'll see what we have. I'll show you what, this is kind of, other than these Kellogg's cards in the back here, which, are pretty obvious, you can kind of see there what those look like. Other than that, this is pretty much what I saw. There were like 2 photos, and that was about it. I'm going to get these paper towels out of here as well. Some of these Goodwills do a really great job packing stuff. Like, they're super careful. They wrap everything and make sure everything, gets there in great shape. And then some of these other ones, this one, really, the listing was not at all to the advantage of, like, showing, what the cards were or anything. And they didn't pack this particularly well. I mean, this is the box that they showed it to be in. I thought this would maybe be inside of another box or something, but nothing like that. I buy vintage cards, vintage lots of cards. There's some 72. I just saw the edge of that. That's a 72, so maybe that row includes some 72s, which is great, and then that's a 1970. Dodgers rookie there, so that's also maybe some 1970 Topps baseball in here as well. First, we're going to look at these Kellogg's cards, but as I was saying, I do buy vintage lots like this periodically, and I don't usually show them on the channel. It's just for my PC, and they don't really, I don't feel like a lot of people are necessarily interested in them, but because this is a mystery lot to me, I don't know what any of those cards are back there. It's a little more exciting, and I thought I'd share that with you and hopefully It will not be a letdown. I will also tell you, I don't always do this, but I will tell you what I paid for this. My all-in price with what I bid, as well as the shipping price, as well as the tax, and all of that was about $200. So that's, that's a lot of money for not knowing what you're going to get. But my hope was that these were early 70s cards, and it looks like they are. So I feel pretty good about that right now. We are looking to try to get $200 in value out of this or more. So again, I don't know. One of the reasons I was kind of felt like I wanted to take a chance on it, not just that they're early 70s cards, but because the Kellogg's cards that they showed, there were Hall of Famers, which made me think that these cards, if they are early 70s cards, will not have been like cherry picked. All the Hall of Famers or whatever won't have been taken out. So we will find out all of that together in today's episode. So we start off, and as you can see, I'll show you the backs. These are really unusual. 1971 Kellogg's is one of the harder sets in my opinion. I find that getting nice copies of 1971 Kellogg's is quite hard. Several other sets from the early 70s from Kellogg's are a lot easier. These are 71s, and we got, as you can see here, Bob Robertson, Tom Seaver, so that's nice, but there's a pretty bad crack in the card up there. I don't know if you can see that or not. There it is. So that card does not have a ton of value, but though it is an early Tom Seaver, it's because of the crack, and it's got some scratches on there too, not a valuable card. There's another Seaver. I believe that's a 72, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. And that one also is not in great shape. It doesn't look like it's cracked, but if you look at it, there is a sort of what they call a bubble in the plastic there by the logo on his cap. So again, that has flaws. It's also just got some... I would say it's a little bit dirty is really what that card looks like, and those cards are not easy to clean. Compared to this Tommy Davis card here, which comes after it, the Tommy Davis is a much brighter card. It's a brighter white, the way the cards should look, and that's actually a really nice card. Unfortunately, Tommy Davis not particularly collectible. Wilbur Wood there, an ace for the White Sox back in those days. Bill Melton, another White Sox player there. That one's also in pretty nice shape. I believe that's Dave Rader. Is that right? Or Doug Rader? Sorry, Doug Rader, who had a little bit of a career there for the Astros infielder. Catfish Hunter there. Also cracked, though, across the middle of the card there. You can kind of see it that way. So that one, not a lot of value to cracked cards. Dave McNally, an ace for the Orioles during some of their championship years. Nice to see that. Nate Colbert, player for the Pirates. And then we go back to the 71 Kellogg's cards. And again, if you're not familiar with Kellogg's cards, it is Kellogg's cereal, and they did come in boxes of cereal back then, one card per box, and it would be in like a paper envelope or a paper sleeve, and you would take it out of the box and open up and see what you got. And so they were, they're tough cards. They didn't print them in anywhere near that as high of a number as Topps cards were, and they're very neat because of the 3D sort of effect. They used a technology that was back then called zero-graph printing, and I don't really use that anymore. This card has unfortunately, a lot of cracks on there. And this one is in a little better shape. You can see these cards are curled, which is completely normal because this plastic sort of warps and changes, and you can get the curl out of there by putting them in a top loader, or even by just leaving them in a different temperature or different humidity. I've seen people put these cards in humidors. I've seen people use like big packets of desiccant and put them in like a Rubbermaid box, a Rubbermaid container where it's airtight, and it kind of helps the cards to kind of get flatter as well. Here we get to the Dick Allen. That's a really, again, a nice card. Oh, there are two of them. These must have been on top of one another because I did not know there were two of them. I wonder if they even realized that, but those are both in pretty decent shape. I don't see any cracks on either of those cards. I'm trying to get them in the light so I can check that, but that's pretty good. This one does have a little ding in the corner, but still, at least one of those will stay in the PC, so that's pretty awesome for me. I do collect Dick Allen. He's one of my favorite all-time players, so those are really nice cards for me. Nate Colbert, again, good player, but kind of a minor star from that period. Larry Dierker, who was a pitcher for several different teams, mostly the Astros, and he pitched throughout most of the 70s. Amos Otis, an early card of this player, who was a really good outfielder for the Kansas City Royals for quite a while, and a friend of George Brett's. Clarence Gaston, who also played the outfield, and there's Roy White, who was an outfielder for the Yankees. That card is very badly cracked across the top. Oh man, this is breaks my heart to see this. Nice Roberto Clemente card, but several cracks in this card. Not really going to be any value to that. Very sad to see that in such bad condition. That's a shame. Jose Cardinal, this card's in great shape. Would love to switch the condition of these two cards, I'll tell you that. Nice Jose Cardinal card there. And Lou Brock, another Hall of Famer, and that one's also in terrible shape. I don't know if you can see all the cracks in the middle of that card. That's a real shame that the Hall of Famer ones really don't seem to be as nice as the non-Hall of Famers. Willie Davis there, I think that's a repeat. So those were the Kellogg's cards, and those were the ones that I knew were in there. I didn't know there were two Dick Allens, and I'm not sure I knew there were two Willie Davises either. But so now we get to see what is in here. The Kellogg's cards, if we're talking about value, we're trying to get to $200, as I talked about. If we were talking about value with those cards, there's probably not a ton of value. That's maybe $40, maybe something like that. $40. I mean, I'd have to go through and look more closely at some of these, but I think 40 is probably fair. Like I said, the Hall of Famers, most of them have cracks in them, but even then, if I put them out in a lot, I think I'd probably be able to get $40 for that. So that gets us almost, a quarter of the way to our value. Now let's see what these rows are. This one, I thought, this one is the 1971s, and these are indeed 1971s. Look like the whole row. This one looked like 72s. Are these mostly 72s? So yeah, this looks like all 1972. I'm going to go through all of these on the channel, and we'll see what we get. All right, so at the very front, it looks like we have 1973 cards, which is great too. High numbers in those, and a lot of rookies, and really Mike Schmidt rookie in 1973 cards. That would be amazing to get something like that. Duffy Dyer and Bob Veal start things off. Jim Holt, and some of these are cut pretty badly. Jerry Johnson and Wayne Twitchell. Al Oliver, minor star there, and is that? No, I felt like there were two there. World Series card there, Bill Fahey and Don Rose. That one is just about a miscut there, which is one I would collect. All right, we got a Frank Robinson here, though that is also a miscut. You can see the beginning of the card down at the bottom, so that's not going to be a ton of value. Very interesting to me because I collect miscuts, but not a ton of value there, unfortunately. But that is our first Hall of Famer out of these regular 1973 cards. We got the Killer here, Harmon Killebrew. That one is also a miscut, though, unfortunately. So that will go in that stack. Ted Martinez and Wilbur Wood, our second Wilbur Wood card. We got a Kellogg's and a regular Topps 73 card. Bruce Keeson there, and a Pete Rose card. That's a pretty good one. 1973 Pete Rose. So that will go in the Hall of Fame stack, though he's not there yet. I think he will be in a matter of time. Jim Harden and Bill Russell there, and Johnny Briggs. And I'm just periodically checking to see if any of these are high numbers. Steve Yeager there. And then we get to some 1974 cards. 1974 traded card of Bobby Heiss. Steve Carlton, 1974 card. That one's not too bad. Put that there. Tom Seaver, 1974 card. Pretty good to see that. Ken Forsch. And Steve Rogers, that is a Steve Rogers rookie, though I don't think very many people collect Steve Rogers. He was an ace for the Expos for quite a number of years. We got Randy Jones here with the Padres. Now these cards, some of these Padres cards were printed with National League at the bottom and then corrected to San Diego Padres because the team hadn't finalized where it was going to play at the time the cards were printed. Reggie Cleveland, Tom Walker, and Randy Hundley, Tom Timmerman, John Lowenstein, who became an Oriole, an Angels team card, Joe Coleman, Jeff Torberg, Ed Herman, and George Culver. We get to the 72 cards now. Now, 1972 cards also had high numbers. These 74s that we were looking at, there were no high numbers there. That was the first year they did a complete series of cards. Ray Culp and a Pirates World Championship card. So that's the number one card out of that set. You can see there. Topps did that for several years, made the team card of the World Champions the number one card. John Bateman, Enzo Hernandez, Swoboda, and a Phillies rookie card, which has nobody of consequence on there. Walt Williams. Bill Singer, who was an ace for the Dodgers for a little while. Another rookie card with no real stars on there. Bob Oliver, Ernie McNally, and Ray Corbin, Jim York, and Roger Freed. And I don't know 72 high numbers as well as I do 71s, but I don't think any of those were high numbers there. Angels team card, Mike Hedlund, Ron Woods, and league leaders card. This is a batting leaders card with Tony Oliva, so we get another Hall of Famer there. That one has Stargell and Aaron, so that one's pretty nice and not in bad shape. And then this one has Vida Blue and Jim Palmer, so another Hall of Famer on there, and Vida Blue, a guy who I think maybe should be in the Hall. And then Fergie Jenkins and Tom Seaver on that one, so the league leader card's doing pretty well for us there. Got a marked checklist, which essentially is valueless. Toby Hara, who was a star for the Rangers, went on to manage as well. Brewers team card, Rob at Bucks and 6. We'll be happy about that. Rogelio Moray and Larry Bittner. We got Jim Nettles, brother of Craig, and Chris Chambliss there. Early card of that player, Dave Kingman. That is, looks like it has had a rat chewing on it. That is not in good condition at all. That is a shame. That's a Dave Kingman rookie there, player I always really liked, but no value on that. This Twins card has a crease down the middle. Don Gullett looking perplexed. Continue on here. We got Andy Messersmith, an early card of that pitcher, who was a pretty good pitcher throughout the 70s. Darren Johnson in action card, and Clay Kirby. Got Clay Kirby in action card, and Jeff Burrows. Got a nice Cubs team card there. That's actually a pretty good card. I'm going to put that in the good stack, shall we say. Scipio Spinks and Denny McLain, who was an ace for the Tigers for a while. There he is playing for the Rangers, and that was stuck to the other card, which is why I'm checking the back on that. That card looks like it got something spilled on it. No players of any real consequence there. Jay Johnstone and Don Mitchner, Frank Lindsay, Tommy Agee, and Tom Bradley, Steve Mongori, Padres team card, and Wes Parker. We got Bill Parsons and Ike Brown. Gaylord Perry, there we go. All right, so that's a nice Hall of Fame card there of that pitcher. It's a nice card. Steve Renko and George Mitterwald, Mel Stottlemyre, Stan Swanson. We got a Boyhood Photos of the Stars, Wilbur Wood and Sal Bando, Steve LaRoche, Art Shamsky, Tom Murphy, and Jerry Moses. These two cards, is that the same guy? It looks like the same guy to me. I don't know. What do you think of that? That's kind of weird. Mets team card and Dick Bossman, Danny Thompson, Don Buford, the player for the Orioles, Jack Heidemann, Ken Berry. White Sox team card, Paul Lindblad, who played in the MLB for quite a while. Phillies team card, Milt Wilcox, Tony Oliva. So there is another Hall of Famer for us. Put that in that stack. Fergie, nice Fergie Jenkins card. That's in pretty nice shape, actually. It's a good-looking card. Put that over there. Bob Montgomery. Another rookie card with nobody really special on there. Ellie Rodriguez. Oscar Gamble, early card of that player. I'm not actually sure if that is Oscar Gamble's rookie or not. It is an early card of him. That might be his rookie. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that one out. Bill Gogolewski and Clarence Gaston again. Barry Lurch, Rick Rennick, and Ricky Clark. Ray Fosse and Phil Gagliano, Lee Richard, and Ken Suarez. Now, I'm looking at the backs of these cards as I go through and checking out the numbers because, as I said, 72 has high numbers, and these appear to be in numerical order. The lower numbers, we saw that Pirates team card was number 1. Now we're up into the 400, so it's quite possible we have some 71 cards here. So we'll go through those real quick and just kind of see what we've got there. Cal Kuntz and Darryl Knowles. Joe Morgan, there we go. Another Hall of Famer card here. So we're doing pretty well as far as getting the value that we want out of here. We actually are hitting some Hall of Famers in here, which is really a good sign. I don't think we're close to 200 yet, but we're kind of getting there. A couple other 71s will go over there. John Lowenstein. That might be a rookie card for him as well, actually. I'm not too sure about that. Tigers team card, Boyhood Photos of the Stars, Lou Piniella and Brooks. There we go. That's a nice one for me. Vincente Romo, Joe Torre, another Hall of Famer there. Nice to see that. Ted Williams as a manager, of course, there with the Rangers. Ted Williams actually an underrated manager, pretty good manager. Took on the Senators in the late 60s and really turned that team around. They were a perennial losing team, and he got them close to winning the getting into the playoffs, actually. He was a very good manager. People don't realize that. Ken Brett, Wayne Garrett, and Larry Boa, early card of that player. Dodgers team card, Carlos May and Harmon Killebrew. There's another nice Hall of Famer there. And the in-action card of Harmon Killebrew, which is in good shape. Billy Williams, another Hall of Famer there. The in-action card of him. So we're doing pretty well. Richie Zisk, rookie card, minor star from the 70s. Dave Concepcion, another minor star. Maury Wills, that's a pretty good card. Not a Hall of Famer, but certainly a well-known baseball player. Willie Stargell there. So doing pretty well here. Ted Sizemore, good catcher for the Cardinals. Ellie Hendricks, a guy who I met on many occasions. He would go to all of the Orioles functions and things like that, and just the friendliest guy. People really loved him. Phil Regan and Billy Conigliaro. Tim Cullen, another marked checklist and valueless. Joe Torre, Boyhood Photos of the Stars, going the Hall of Fame stack. Gene Alley, Mickey Rivers. Another rookie card there. Sandy Alomar, another marked checklist. Harry the Hat Walker, who was the Astros manager for a little while there. Checking the numbers on these, we seem to have come off of these being in order. These are back to the 200s now with Leron Lee and Rennie Stennett, Eddie Casco, Paul Schall, and Jerry Kenny, Dick Billings, Steve Keeley, and Mike Kekich, Daryl Cheney, who was in the MLB for quite a long time, another pointless marked checklist, and Mike Marshall. This is 505, so these are what are called semi-high numbers. John Mayberry there, and no other Hall of Famers out of that, but still not too bad. We have a nice little stack of Hall of Famers going. Let's see what's in our 71 row here. This is going to be exciting for me. We got some other, I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit. We've got some other cards from 74 here. Steve Busby and Ron Woods, Dick Green, Ken Henderson, Jim Wolford, Jim Ray traded card, Felipe Alou, and some other non-Hall of Famers here. Just go through these a little more quickly. Some team cards there. And then we get to the 71s. I'm going to move those there and move these 71s here. And again, the 71s start. This is, I was just talking about how they did that for several years. The Orioles were the world champions in 1970, and so they got the #1 card in the 1971 set. And I know this set pretty well, so these do appear to be in alphabetical order. Early card of Ken Singleton there. I'm not going to read all the names. I'm really just looking for stars and Hall of Famers things. Another Pete Rose card. Very nice to see that. I'm actually going to put these upside down to keep them in numerical order, so we'll put him over there. Dean Chance, nice to see that. He was a minor star. Mark Belanger, that's a nice card for me. I'll keep that one out just for my own PC. Eddie Watt, good pitcher for the Orioles. Kurt Blefary was an Oriole, but he was on a different team there. Again, I'm just looking through these, looking for stars, and I'm kind of excited to see if there are any high numbers in here. Those would be at the end of this row. Ron Santo, there's another Hall of Famer for us, so that's pretty nice. Hoyt Wilhelm, not a Hall of Famer, but a very good player. I'm going to put that in the star stack there, if you will. Lefty Phillips, who was a manager for the Angels for a few years. Lefty Phillips, kind of forgot about him. Get this back in focus for you. There you go. Joe Muller, and again, just looking for stars here. These cards in pretty nice condition, actually. I'll kind of just take a moment to kind of show you one of these more up close. And pretty happy with the condition on these. There's not a lot of white around those borders, so that's pretty nice to see. Very happy with that. Again, just looking for any stars or Hall of Famers out of here. Not seeing as many here. Alvin Dark, longtime manager and a player before that. Let's see, got some team cards in here. Those can sometimes bring a little bit of a premium. Another Cubs card, team card there. And see what else we have in here. Wally Bunker, good player. Not too much in turn. Walt Alston, another good manager there. Now this is getting into some higher number cards here. Walt Alston I recognize as getting into high number cards. So let me see. Yeah, that is 567. So we are getting into high number cards here for the 1971 set, which is awesome because they bring a premium, and the short print high numbers are especially expensive. So this is great. These all appear, I know the set very well. Dave Cash is definitely a high number, so that is fantastic. And that would lead me to believe that this last stack could be, I'm just going to check. Well, there's a random 1970 card on there. And yeah, these go up to 689, 707, 743. So these appear to all be high numbered cards, which I'm really pumped about. That definitely, I mean, just this stack and the Kellogg's cards, I feel like maybe would get us to 200, but with these high numbers, we're way over 200 there, and I'm sure that some of these are short print high numbers. We'll go through these. Yeah, Cepeda, there's a very nice card there. That's a nice high number, Orlando Cepeda. That's a sweet card. See Amos Otis again. What is this? Al Oliver. That is not a high number. I think that's just jammed in there. Larry Heisel, early card of that really good hitter. And Lou Brock, another nice card there. We're doing really well with this now. I'm very happy with what we're seeing out of here. See if we can get any other bigger high number cards. Sparky Anderson, that one's pretty nice as well. Rick Monday, Julie Searle will be happy to see that. And Tommy Aaron, not Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was not a high number out of this set. And yeah, so this is a good amount of high numbers. There's at least 50 high numbers here. No other big stars, unfortunately. I was hoping for something a little better than that. But still, we got a few. Lou Brock and Orlando Cepeda, some very nice cards from 71. What did you guys think of this? I'm very happy with this. This is well over $200 in value. And let me know if you like seeing this kind of thing on the show, and I'll do more of this. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Happy collecting.